It's always the same shape, the envelope. Rough at the edges, like someone worried it between their teeth before sealing it, smudged with graphite and a smattering of something darker, maybe old blood or a leaky pen. My mother says it's just an ad, some sweepstakes for resident or valued customer, but she never sees the name, my name, written in blocky, uneven capitals. This morning's is thicker than usual, with a postmark I can't make out except for a lopsided 0 and a line that bleeds into the next word like a bad dream. I stand on the front porch, shivering in my hand-me-down hoodie, rolling the envelope between my palms while the wind tries to yank it away. I know what's inside before I peel the flap. I know the itch in my stomach, the sizzle in my ears, the way the world narrows down to just the letters on the page and the unsteady heart thumping behind my ribs. You never expect to be haunted by something that isn't even dead yet. I hide the envelope in my backpack under a stack of dough-geared library books and yesterday's math homework and slide back inside before Mom notices. She's already left for her morning shift at the donut shop, a note propped up against the empty sugar bowl. Eggs in fridge, behave at school, don't let anyone push you around. Love you, Em. She always says that last part like a warning, not a wish. At school, the world turns to concrete and wet leaves and the stink of bleach in the hallways. Kids cluster in their little packs like wolves, all shiny hair and bright backpacks, flickering with the kind of energy I only ever see on old cartoons. I move like a shadow past them, counting floor tiles, trying not to draw attention, but someone always notices. Today it's Amanda Kelso, queen of the lunchroom and every parent-teacher night. She snags my hood as I try to slide past, her nails biting through the fabric. "Hey, mailbox," she hisses. "You get any more love letters from your dead dad?" Her pack of hyenas laughs on cue, but it's the sort of sound that makes my skin crawl, not because of what they're saying. My dad's alive, somewhere, probably, just not here, but because I know they'll never stop. I tug loose and keep walking, the echo of their voices in my ears, the old nickname sticking like a burr. Mailbox. Because I get mail, real mail, not texts or Snapchats. Because I don't talk to anyone, not really, except the letters and the walls and sometimes the ghosts under my bed. At lunch, I sit at the far end of the cafeteria, peeling the corners off a PB&J sandwich and staring at the clock. I'm almost free when Charlie Weems plops down across from me, breathless from running, his hands clutching a battered composition notebook and a fountain pen leaking blue ink onto his fingers. "Did you get it?" he says. "Not even a hello." I look at him, at the streak of hair falling into his eyes, the patched jacket 2 sizes too big, and feel a weird flicker of gratitude. Charlie's the only kid in school who talks to me like I'm not radioactive. Maybe because he's even lower on the food chain than I am. I fish the envelope from my bag, sliding it across the table. He grabs it, studies the handwriting, holds it up to the light. "Same as last time," he whispers. "Did you open it yet?" I shake my head. "Not here. They'll see." He glances over at Amanda's table, then back at me. "Meet me after? Old playground?" I nod, fold the envelope back into my pocket. The whole time, my pulse ticks in my neck, too loud, like someone shaking dice in a cup. The old playground is 2 blocks from school, behind a row of retired houses with peeling siding and trampolines rusting in the backyards. No one plays here anymore, not since the slide collapsed and the city taped up the swings with yellow caution strips, but even before that, the ground felt wrong, like something sour lived just beneath the mulch and gravel. I like it here. So does Charlie. He's already there, perched on the merry-go-round with his notebook propped up and a camera around his neck. When I step out of the thicket of bushes, he waves me over, careful not to draw attention to the envelope in my hand. "You ready?" he says, voice hushed. I tear the flap, careful not to rip whatever's inside. It's a letter, 3 pages, scrawled in what looks like blue crayon and ballpoint, words jammed together, some letters backwards. At the bottom is a smudged thumbprint, small and ridged. Charlie leans in, breathing hard. "What does it say?" I read, my voice barely above a whisper. "It says, 'I was here, I am still here, don't forget me.' They tried to bury my name, but it won't stay buried. I saw him last on the night of the storm. He was wearing his church pants. They took him by the old bridge. The water was too high. Nobody listened to his crying. 'If you find the red ribbon, you'll find the rest of me.'" I stop, my mouth dry. The rest of the letter is dates and more scribbles, some kind of code or just the noise of someone desperate to be heard. Charlie scribbles notes, his hand jittering with excitement. It's the same as the last one. The storm, the bridge, the ribbon. He flips through his notebook, pages crammed with timelines and newspaper clippings. The only kid who vanished in a storm was Christopher Gantz, 2007. They found his shoe by the river, but nothing else. Nobody ever mentioned a ribbon, though. I shiver, and it's not the cold. Why me? Why am I getting these? Charlie shrugs. Maybe they know you listen. He looks at me, really looks, and I feel seen in a way that makes my heart clench. My aunt says you're some kind of magnet. For weird stuff, I mean. I want to laugh, but instead I look at the letter, the trembling blue words, and imagine a kid my age or younger, hunched over a table, squeezing these secrets out before the world shuts him up for good. "What do we do?" I ask, voice thin. Charlie leans in, lowering his voice. "We have to show someone." "The police, maybe. Or that detective guy. The one with the office on Main." I shake my head, remembering the last time Mom got called down to school, the way she cried in the parking lot because she thought I was being bullied again. Which, of course, I was. But this would break her. "Not yet," I say. "One more letter. If it happens again, then we go." He nods, solemn, and I almost believe we can handle it, the two of us against whatever is sending these missives through the holes in the world. It happens the next morning. There's a new letter, this one lighter, smelling faintly of burnt sugar and rain. No postmark, just my name in blue this time, slanted like the writer was rushing. I open it on the walk to school under the dead arch of maples and read while my shoes sink into the mud. "She's next," it says. "Friday." Blue ribbons in her hair. They watch from the cars at the end of the street. The ones that never blink. "Don't let her go alone. Don't let her forget." There's a drawing at the bottom, a stick figure girl with long hair and 2 blue dashes above her ears. For a second I can't breathe. I think of all the girls at school, all the blue headbands and hair ties, the way Amanda sometimes wears those cheap plastic barrettes to match her eyes. I think of my own hair, the blue rubber band I stole from Mom's junk drawer, the one I use when I want to feel invisible. I'm almost late, so I tuck the letter away, but the words burrow in, scraping my bones raw. Charlie's waiting by the flagpole, looking nervous. "Did you get another one?" I nod. "It says Friday. Blue ribbons." His face goes pale. "That's tomorrow." We don't say anything for a while, just stand together while the world wakes up, the other kids streaming past us like we're made of glass. Finally, Charlie says, "You think it's about Amanda?" I don't know. I hope not. But hope is a muscle I haven't used in a long time. "Maybe," I say. "Maybe it's about me." He looks at me, and for a second I see the fear behind his bravado. "We should tell someone," he says again, softer this time. "Before it's too late." I nod, but my mind is already running ahead, tracing the lines between the letters, the river, the playground, the bridge. There's a pattern. There has to be, and if I can just piece it together... The bell rings, shrill and urgent, and the world returns to its usual shape. But I know, even if no one else does, that something is coming. Something old and hungry and full of names no one wants to remember. I walk into school, clutching the letter, and try to pretend my hands aren't shaking. Charlie calls the detective's number from a payphone outside the hardware store. It takes him 3 tries to say, "Mr. Marshall," instead of detective or sir. And even then, he sounds like a kid imitating what he thinks grown-ups are supposed to say. We walk over after school, cutting through the slush and brambles behind the supermarket, past the old statue of the town founder who stares into the traffic like he's counting the days until it all washes away. Ray Marshall's office is above the laundromat, behind a metal door that's scarred with so many names and keys I'm surprised it still opens. The stairs are steep and painted the same shade of blue-gray as the sky outside, so it feels like we're climbing a ladder into the belly of a storm. Charlie knocks, waits, then knocks again, harder, like he thinks the detective might be deaf or dead. A muffled voice. "It's open unless you're selling Bibles. If you are, just leave the pamphlets." Inside, the light is weirdly yellow, like the whole place is underwater. Marshall's desk is a wreck. Towers of manila folders, a coffee mug full of pens, 3 Polaroids of what looks like a crime scene, and a ceramic frog with a chipped leg. The only thing not out of place is the man himself. Tall, old in the way that means he's seen a lot of bad years, not just a lot of years. His tie is undone. His hair is mostly steel with some old rust. He doesn't stand when we come in, but he tips his chin like he's used to people wanting something from him. He points with his pencil. "You're Weems, right? You called about a missing person?" Charlie glances at me, nervous. "Not a person exactly. It's more like letters." Marshall waits. He's got that cop stare, the one that doesn't blink or move, but still says, "Hurry up, kid." I reach into my backpack, feel the letters scrape against my fingers, and pull them out, pushing them across the desk. He slides the first envelope open with a pinky, reads the blue crayon words without even raising an eyebrow. Then the second one, the one about Friday and the blue ribbons. He doesn't smile, but the corners of his eyes crease just a little, like he's seen worse and he's seen stranger, but this isn't either. "Not yet." "Who wrote these?" he asks. I shrug. "They're postmarked from town. No return address." He taps the edge of the paper. "You think it's a prank?" Charlie jumps in, his voice quick. "Nobody else knows the details. The thing about the bridge, the red ribbon." "That wasn't in the newspaper." Marshall looks at him for a beat, then at me. "And you, Lane?" "You think it's a prank?" "I think it's a warning," I say. "Or a dare." He leans back, rocks in his chair. The springs shriek. "You kids know a girl named—" He checks a notepad. "Sadie Myers?" "She just moved here," Charlie says. "She's in my math class." "Why?" Marshall points with the eraser. "She wears her hair in 2 blue bows. Lives on Birch. I got a call this morning from her parents. She didn't show up for school, didn't come home from her babysitter. Cops think she ran away, but..." He shrugs. "Nobody runs away in a party dress in the middle of winter." My mouth goes dry. I look at the letter, the drawing of the stick-figure girl, the blue dashes. "She's next," I whisper. Marshall watches me. For a second, I think he's going to smile, maybe say, "Don't worry, this happens all the time." But he doesn't. He flips the envelope over, taps the stamp. "I'll hang on to these for now, if you don't mind. Tell me if you get another one. You got a phone?" I shake my head. He nods at Charlie. "Weems, you got a cell?" Charlie flushes, embarrassed. "My aunt says I'm too young." "Fine. Landline?" Charlie nods. Marshall scrawls his own number on a slip of paper. "If you hear anything, see anything, call me. If anyone tries to give you another letter, you walk the other way." We leave the office. I feel lighter, but only because I've just handed off something I was never supposed to carry. Outside, the sky's gone from gray to straight-up black, and the wind hurts my ears. Charlie says, "You think he believes us?" "Doesn't matter," I say. "He's all we've got." That night, I dream about the river, even though I haven't been there in years. The banks are thick with reeds, the water running fat and brown. I'm standing on the old bridge. Every board is slippery, every nail is trying to work its way free. There's something floating below, tangled in a torn bedsheet or a piece of white dress. When I try to look closer, the dream jerks me away, but I hear the voice. A little kid, hoarse and angry and scared. She's next. They're watching. I wake up with a sore throat, nails pressed into my palms. My room is cold, my window covered in the same frost pattern as every morning, like veins or cracks in old porcelain. Mom is gone, but she's left a mug of cocoa on the stove and a note that says, "Be brave today, baby." She underlines brave 3 times, but I know she means safe. I think about not going to school, about hiding in the library or the park or just inside my own head, but I don't. The world doesn't work like that. Not for girls like me, not for anyone. I walk past Sadie's house on the way. There's a police car in the driveway, lights off. An officer stands by the mailbox drinking coffee, his breath clouding the air. I wonder if he knows about the letters. I wonder if he'd believe me if I told him. In homeroom, Amanda Kelso isn't wearing blue today. I wonder if she remembers what she said about mailboxes and dead dads, if it ever sticks, or if it just rolls off like everything else. I hope she feels bad, but I doubt it. Charlie slides into the seat behind me, careful not to touch. He whispers, "He's investigating." My aunt said Marshall was asking about all the missing kids from the last 20 years. "How many are there?" Charlie shrugs. "Too many." I nod. "The number doesn't matter. I already know it's more than 0. After lunch, there's an announcement." Principal's voice, shaky with trying to sound calm. "If any student has seen or heard from Sadie Myers, please come to the office." Nobody moves. I look at the wall clock, the same time as when the first letter came. I keep expecting the day to fall apart, for someone to scream or for the fire alarm to go off, but everything moves like it always does. I do my homework, ride the bus, walk home through the muddy alleys. Every shadow feels thicker, like it's growing muscle and teeth. At home, Mom's watching TV in her bathrobe, a tired smile on her lips. She asks about my day. I lie and say, "Fine." She asks about the blue envelope, the one she found in the bottom of the trash. "Just a chain letter," I say. "Nothing important." She looks at me for a long time, the kind of look that used to make me spill every secret, but now just slides off. "I wish you'd tell me if someone was bothering you," she says. "I want to, but I don't have the right words. How do you say, 'I think someone is using my head for a mailbox'? Or, 'I'm pretty sure there's a dead kid in the river and he wants me to do something about it'? You don't. Not unless you want your mom to break." I go to bed early. The house is quiet, just the hum of the heater and the soft blare of commercials from the living room. I try to dream about anything but the bridge, but it never works. The voice is there, stronger now. "She's next. Friday. Don't let her go." I wake up and check the calendar. Thursday. 1 day left. Next morning, there's a commotion outside school. Cops, news vans, a cluster of parents and teachers blocking the main doors. We're corralled through the side entrance, told to go straight to our classrooms. Everyone's talking, but nobody knows anything for sure. I hear snippets. Still missing. Her backpack was found. Parents are a mess. Even the kids who usually ignore me are on edge. I find Charlie in the library. He looks pale, sick. "She's still gone," he says, "and they found one of those letters on her porch this morning." I feel a cold sweep down my arms, like a bucket of ice water. "What did it say?" He shrugs. "Police won't say, but Marshall's at the house. He's looking for clues, fingerprints, anything." We spend lunch at the same table, not eating, just staring at our hands. I want to go to Sadie's house, to see for myself, but I know there's nothing there for me. The letters never work like that. They're always a step ahead, always ready with a new envelope before you even know what to ask. That night, the dreams come in waves. The bridge, the river, the crying. But this time I see the girl, Sadie. She's standing on the muddy bank, arms hugged to her chest, blue ribbons dark with rain. She tries to say something, but her mouth fills with water, and I wake up gasping. At dawn, there's a knock at the door. Not the nervous shuffle of the mailman or the clatter of Jehovah's Witnesses, but 3 sharp raps, urgent, practiced. Mom answers, her robe cinched tight. Ray Marshall stands in the hallway, holding a plastic evidence bag with one of my letters inside. He kneels down to my height, voice lower than I've ever heard it. "Did you write this?" he says. I shake my head. "They just come." He looks at me, not angry, not even suspicious, just tired. "Who do you think sends them?" I think about it. About the dreams and the cold and the way the letters always know more than I do. Someone who can't let go, I say. He nods. "That's what I thought." He glances at Mom, then back at me. "If you get another letter, any time, any place, you call me. No matter what." I nod. "Okay." He leaves, but the air stays heavy. Mom closes the door and leans against it, eyes wet. "What is happening to us?" she whispers. I don't answer. "I don't know, but I know there'll be another letter." That night, after Mom goes to sleep, I sit on my window ledge, staring out at the street. A car idles at the end of the block, headlights off, engine ticking over. I watch it for almost an hour, but it never moves. I think about Sadie, her blue ribbons, the cold river. I wonder if she's out there, waiting for someone to notice, for someone to care enough to look. My breath fogs the glass. Somewhere in the dark, I hear the squeal of brakes and the distant hum of a train. The world keeps moving even when you wish it wouldn't. I close my eyes and hope, just for once, to dream about something else. The town's old post office is a carcass, hollowed out by a fire nobody talks about, and 100 winters that stripped the paint down to memory. Most people cross the street to avoid it. Drifters hole up in the back rooms. Teenagers dare each other to break in, but even the bravest don't last long in the cold, lopsided heart of it. Sometimes, though, I walk past and imagine the whole building as a single giant mailbox, still hungry for secrets and letters nobody wants. Ray Marshall's car is parked outside the post office on Saturday morning, steaming in the cold. He's inside the building, flashlight beam wobbling along the cracked tile and the empty shell of the mail counter. From across the street I can see the glow through the dirty glass, like an anglerfish lure in deep water. I want to go in, but I can't. Not yet. Instead, I watch from behind the stump of the old mailbox, the one that's covered in stickers and hate mail from when the town tried to ban Halloween. Marshall moves slow, careful, as if the walls are waiting for him to let his guard down. He disappears into the back, comes out with a bundle of envelopes, all wrapped in a rubber band the color of dead skin. He holds them in one hand, the way you'd hold a baby bird you're afraid to crush. Then he goes back inside, and when he comes out again, he's got more. Dozens, maybe hundreds. I don't breathe until he drives away. The dreams are worse now. They aren't even dreams, not really, just sudden, sharp flashes that snap down while I'm brushing my teeth or waiting for the microwave to finish. I hear kids crying, or singing, or reciting lists of things they'll never get to do again. Sometimes I see faces blurry like old photographs, eyes too wide and mouths moving even after the rest of them is gone. In the morning, Mom notices I'm jumpier than usual. "Do you want me to call someone?" she says, meaning a doctor or maybe a priest. I shake my head. "I'm fine. Just tired." She doesn't believe me, but she lets it go. I think she's afraid of what I might say if she pushes too hard. Charlie brings the news at lunch. "Marshall found a stash of letters in the post office. Most are old, like from when your mom was a kid, but some are brand new." He slides a paper across the table. "This was in the news. He's talking to the reporter who covers the weird stuff. Remember her? The one who wears the hats?" The headline is about anonymous threats, but the rest is just a jumble of words. Unsolved cases, rumors, the name of every kid who's ever vanished or run away in a 50-mile radius. My eyes stick to a paragraph near the bottom. Authorities are investigating possible connections between a series of anonymous letters and the recent disappearance of local child Sadie Myers. The letters, addressed to Sarah L., reference private details of previous missing children cases. Sources close to the investigation say the handwriting is inconsistent and some of the stamps date back decades. They think it's a prank, I say. Charlie shakes his head. Marshall doesn't. My aunt heard him say he's never seen anything like it. He lowers his voice. He thinks it's a warning. I think of the voice from my dreams, the way it never sounds like the same kid twice, the way it bends and breaks, as if it's made from spare parts. When I open my locker at the end of the day, there's a new envelope inside. No stamp, just my name in careful, looping script, the kind teachers use to force us to practice. I slip it into my sleeve and try to pretend I'm not sweating. I open the letter in my bedroom, lights off, only the glow of my computer and the sickle moon outside. It's not one page, it's 3, each written in a different hand. The first is in pencil, shaky and thin. Dear Sarah, I am cold. I want to go home. It is always night where I am. Tell my mom I'm sorry about her necklace. Please. The second page is in sharp blue ink, blocky capitals, Lane. They won't stop. Don't go near the water. Stay inside on Friday. Do not answer the doorbell. Promise you will listen. The last page is the worst. It's written in red marker, the words slanting up at the corners like a scream. You are next in the circle unless you break the pattern. Find the map. Don't trust the grown-ups. At the bottom is a list of names, each one circled except the last. Sarah Lane. My hand shakes so hard I almost tear the paper. For a minute I just sit, breathing, trying to make sense of the mess in my head. I think about Sadie and the blue ribbons, about the old bridge and the cold water, about every kid who's vanished and the parents who keep the lights on at night, hoping for something they know they'll never get. I'm not crying, but my face feels raw and wet. I look at the last line again. You are next in the circle unless you break the pattern. I don't know what the pattern is. But I know if I wait, if I do nothing, it'll eat me the way it ate the others. Ray Marshall shows up at our house before breakfast. He smells like cigarettes and old wool, and his eyes are so bloodshot I wonder if he's slept at all. He asks if we can talk in private. Mom shrugs, makes herself busy in the kitchen, pretending to wipe the same counter over and over. Marshall sits on the edge of our couch, elbows on his knees. You got another letter? I nod, hand it over. He reads fast, lips barely moving, then goes back and reads again, slower. His hands tremble, but not like he's scared, more like he's bracing for a punch. I found something yesterday, he says, voice soft. In the post office. All those letters, they're all addressed to you, Lane. Dozens of them, but they were written before you were even born. He sets the bundle on the coffee table, fans it out. Letters in every color and handwriting, some yellowed to the point of crumbling. They always come back here, he says. Every time a kid goes missing, a letter shows up for the next one. Your name's at the end of the list. My skin goes numb. So what happens to me? He shrugs. I don't know. That's why I'm here. Mom pokes her head in. She's not even pretending to clean anymore. Ray, what does this mean? He looks at her, then at me, then at the pile of letters. I think your daughter's got something they want. She shakes her head, lost. Who are they? He runs a hand through his hair, looks older than I've ever seen him. People who don't want to be forgotten. Or maybe it's the ones who do. Either way, it's not stopping on its own. He turns to me. The last letter said something about a map? I nod, hand him the page. He reads, then stands. There's a map room in the post office. Used to be for delivery routes. I want you to come with me. I think we can end this, but only if you see it for yourself. Mom looks ready to argue, but Marshall cuts her off. I'll keep her safe. Promise. She lets him, but the fear in her eyes is a live thing twitching under the skin. The post office is worse up close, the air heavy with mold, the silence like a blanket you can't crawl out from under. Marshall leads me past the broken mail slots and into a back hallway where the walls are lined with old maps under cracked glass. I run my finger along the names of streets, the tangled routes of the town. Everyone familiar, but in this light, all of them seem off, like I'm looking at someone else's dream. At the end of the hall is a door painted shut with a century of grime. Marshall pries it open with his penknife. The room beyond is tiny, just a table and a corkboard and a scatter of pins and thumbtacks. The map on the wall is marked with dozens of red dots, some ancient, some fresh. He points to a dot near the river. This is where Gantz disappeared. Here's Myers, and here, he stabs a spot not far from my own house, is you. I swallow. So what do? He hands me a pen, the one with blue ink. You break the pattern, however you can. I don't know what that means, so I just stare at the map, tracing the circle of dots with my fingertip. It loops the town, every decade another kid gone, always on the same dates, always with the same sick repetition. They want you to see them, Marshall says. That's what the letters are for. That's what all this is for. I look at the map, then at the wall of letters, then at the circle again. I grab a tack and shove it through the center, right in the dead heart of the town. For a second, nothing happens. Then, slowly, the chill in the room lifts. I feel it, a weight off my chest. The voices in my head fading, replaced by a kind of calm I haven't known since before the first envelope. Marshall exhales, shakes his head. Did you feel that? I nod. Yes. We leave the post office. The morning sun is blinding, sharp enough to hurt. It's the first time I've seen real color in months. That night there's no letter. No dream either, just the sound of my own breathing, steady and whole. In the morning I walk past the old mailbox and run my hand over the rusted shell. For the first time it doesn't feel like it's waiting for me. It's just a box. And I am just a girl. It's the sound of the tape recorder that wakes me up. A distant click, the clunk of Marshall's thumb on the red button, followed by a cough he tries to stifle. He's been coming over late at night now, sometimes with groceries or stacks of manila folders, sometimes with nothing but a flask and eyes that make me think of a dog at the shelter. I don't know if he pities us or needs the company, but Mom lets him in every time. She trusts him or wants to. I listen from the top of the stairs, just out of sight. The walls are thin. The words come up in ragged bursts. October 1987. Same pattern. Disappearance, then the letter. Family said it was junk, but handwriting matches. Sheriff burned it. Said it was bad luck to keep. He pauses to sip. 93 March. Kid goes missing. Another envelope, shredded this time, still enough left to match the scrawl. Always Lane. Or sometimes L, or just the next one. Mom's voice is smaller, softer. Why would anyone do this? Why? And then it cracks. Marshall's voice is tired and gentle. Sometimes people just want to be remembered, or want someone else to hurt the way they do. The tape clicks again, rewinds, clicks. There's a rhythm to it, like it's waiting. I pad back to my room, the letter already burning a hole under my pillow. It's thicker than the last ones, this envelope. The back is sealed with a glob of wax, red and gummy, the kind they use in bad detective movies to mark ransom notes. It doesn't have my full name this time, just for Lane in letters cut out from a magazine. I peel it open with a pencil, careful not to touch the edges. Inside, a blue hair ribbon, a spiral of blonde caught in the knot. The smell of chlorine and plastic. There's a letter, too, but I can't read it right away. The writing is all over the place, like someone wrote it during an earthquake. I close my eyes and breathe. The dream comes back. The girl with blue ribbons, Sadie, but she's underwater, mouth open, her voice bubbling up in words I can't catch. Her hand is reaching for me, nails broken, clutching at the letter in my dream and in real life. When I finally look, The words are simple, almost childish. They said the water would be warm. It isn't. Tell Mom I forgive her. Don't wear blue on Fridays. Promise. There's a date at the bottom, last week. A smudge I want to think is dirt, not blood. I fold it up and slide it into the shoebox under my bed. The box is full now. Ribbons, buttons, a badge from a Cub Scout uniform, a locket with a picture of a cat. Every letter comes with something, a piece of the kid it came from. I don't know what to do with them except keep them safe. Charlie's waiting for me outside the school, hopping from foot to foot like he needs to pee. He's got his notebook, but he's also clutching a rolled-up poster, the kind they hang up in classrooms for lost pets or dance recitals. He thrusts it at me, almost hitting my nose. Did you see this? They're putting them everywhere. It's a flyer with my face on it, or almost my face. The yearbook photo from 3 years ago, hair in braids, eyes red from crying. Above it, in huge letters, "Missing. Have you seen Sarah L.?" I stare at it, numb. I'm not missing. Charlie shakes his head, flapping the paper. They say you're mentally unwell. The principal read it on the announcements like, if anyone sees you acting strange, they're supposed to tell the nurse. I want to laugh, but my mouth won't work. He pushes his glasses up, smudging the lens. They're trying to make you invisible. They're trying to shut me up, I say. He shrugs. Same thing. We walk together in silence, each step a little faster than the last, like we're racing the cold. I want to ask him about the list, the research he's doing for Marshall, but I can see the way he bites his cheek and glances over his shoulder. He's scared too, and not just for me. He finally stops by the dumpsters behind the gym, out of sight. I found something, he whispers. I wait. All the missing kids, they had a case officer, right? It's always the same name. Macklin. Officer Macklin. I search my head for the name, and it's there, floating on the surface like a dead fish. Macklin. The cop who does the DRE. Assemblies, who hands out stickers at the Harvest Festival, who everyone calls Uncle Roy. He's in every parade, every school photo, always smiling. He's the one who finds the evidence, Charlie says. Or never finds it. But he's always first on the scene. I shiver, but not from the wind. He's the one who came to our house when Dad left. He gave me a cookie. Charlie nods, jaw set. Marshall's looking into him, but he says he needs more. Something nobody can burn or throw away. I look down at the ribbon in my pocket. I got a letter last night. There was a hair ribbon. From Sadie. Charlie looks sick. She's really dead, isn't she? I want to say no, but I don't like to lie. I think so. He reaches out, not quite touching my arm, but close. I'll help you, even if it's scary. I nod, and for the first time in a week, I believe him. The HOA meeting is in the basement of the Protestant church, the one with the peeling paint and the Jesus Saves sign flickering over Main. Mom drags me along, says I need to show my face, prove I'm functioning. The basement is damp, crowded, everyone's breath mixing with the scent of instant coffee and half-burned donuts. Officer Macklin is there, in uniform, smile glued on like a Band-Aid. He spots me instantly, crossing the room with a deliberate, easy stride. Good to see you out and about, Sarah, he says, just a shade too loud. Your mother tells me you've been a real trooper. He bends down, his face too close to mine. I can smell cologne and breath mints, and something underneath that's sour and old. You know you can always come to me if you're scared, right? We don't want any more tragedies. His hand lands on my shoulder, firm. It's supposed to be comforting, but it feels like a clamp. Mom beams at him, relief pooling in her eyes. Thank you, Roy. She's been through a lot. He squeezes a little. We all have. This town's seen too much sadness. He straightens, clears his throat. If you get any more of those letters, you bring them straight to me, okay? We'll get to the bottom of it together. I force a smile, but my stomach flips. Sure, officer. He leaves, but I watch him for a while, the way he moves through the room, always turning so he faces the exit, never letting anyone behind him. The meeting starts. The president of the HOA talks about lawns, about outside agitators, about the importance of community standards. Someone brings up the letters, the rumors, and Mom goes stiff beside me. President: We'd like to remind everyone that sensationalizing these unfortunate incidents only draws the wrong kind of attention. Vice President: Children are very impressionable at that age. Sometimes what they need is a little discipline, not coddling. Macklin: We're working hard to resolve these issues. The last thing we need is more panic. I watch the faces, the little flinches, the nervous smiles. I know half these people from church, the other half from the grocery store, but I can't remember ever hearing their voices sound this brittle. At the end, Macklin pulls Mom aside. I can't hear what they say, but I can see the way her hands tremble when she signs the clipboard he offers. On the drive home, she keeps glancing at me, waiting for me to say something. When I don't, she lets out a long, tired sigh. You know they just want to help, she says. I nod, not trusting my voice. She tries again. If you get another letter, maybe you should just throw it away. Don't let them get to you. I want to say that's not how any of this works, but I just look out the window at the blur of streetlights. I call Marshall from Charlie's landline after midnight. The phone rings 6 times before he answers, voice thick with sleep and whiskey. I have something, I say. About Macklin. I hear him moving, a chair scraping, the whir of his tape machine. Go. I tell him about the ribbon, the meeting, the way Macklin's always there at the edges, about the flyers, the pressure to disappear. He's quiet for a long time. They want you to drop it. They're betting you will. What if I don't? I ask. He laughs, hollow. Then you're braver than I ever was. He tells me to keep the artifacts safe, to bring them in person if anything changes. I promise I will. After I hang up, I sit in the dark and run the ribbon between my fingers. It's slick with old sweat and hairspray. I tie it around my wrist and try to remember what Sadie's voice sounded like when she was alive. The next letter comes in a box, small and battered, shoved through the slats of our fence. Inside is a handful of broken crayons, a photograph of a kid I don't know, and a single scrap of paper. Don't let him take you in the car, I show it to Mom. She crumples it without reading, throws it in the garbage, and tells me to get ready for school. I dig it out later, fingers sticky with coffee grounds. The next day at lunch, Charlie is gone. Nobody knows where, not even the teachers. There's a rumor he's sick, another that he got suspended for hacking into the school's records. I know it's neither. The day creeps by, each hour heavier than the last. After 7th period, I walk home alone. The sky is bruised and low, the clouds pressing down so hard it feels like I'm walking in a coffin. At my door there's another box. This one is heavier, taped shut. I take it inside, wait for Mom to leave for her shift, then cut it open with a steak knife. Inside, a Polaroid of Charlie, eyes wide and scared, mouth taped shut with a strip of blue ribbon. Next to it is a badge, plastic, from one of those junior deputy kits they hand out at the Harvest Festival. There's another note. He knows too much. Don't be next. I drop the box, hands shaking. The badge clatters across the floor, spinning in circles until it stops, staring up at me with the town's seal. I call Marshall, but it goes straight to voicemail. I'm alone again, just me and the ghosts. At night, the wind rattles the window so hard I think it's going to break. I press my ear to the glass and hear voices, faint and tangled. Don't go with him. Don't let go. Break the chain. I promise them I'll try. I promise even though I don't know how. In the morning, the world is silent, too still. The flyers are gone from the telephone poles. The kids at school don't look at me anymore, don't whisper, don't laugh. Even Amanda Kelso keeps her head down. In homeroom, there's a substitute teacher. She calls roll with a flat, unhurried voice, but when she gets to Sarah Lane, she pauses and then checks a box with a heavy black pen. She never calls Charlie's name. At lunch, I sit alone. I unwrap my sandwich and stare at the inside, trying to see the pattern. When the bell rings, I walk home, expecting another letter, another box. There's nothing, not even a footprint in the snow. I feel invisible, just like they wanted. But I know Charlie is out there. I know Marshall is digging, even if the town wants to keep their heads down and hands clean. And I know Macklin is watching, waiting for me to screw up, to give up. I walk past the old post office just to see if the ghosts are still there. They are. They always will be. And now, so am I. The fugue comes on like a fever. One minute I'm brushing my teeth, the next I'm on the floor of the bathroom, tile cold against my cheek, my fingers wrapped around a heavy brass key I've never seen before. I stare at it, the smooth curve worn down by 1,000 hands, the tag stamped in crooked capitals, Ridge Camp Post, and try to remember the last 10 minutes. Nothing, not even static. I blink and there's dirt under my fingernails, blood on the knuckle where I must have hit the sink. The lights flicker, the heater hums. The world is tilted, every line just slightly off plumb, but the key sits in my palm, solid and sure. I pocket it and go back to bed, heart hammering so hard I can hear it in my teeth. When I wake up for real, my room smells like smoke and old perfume. The shoebox is open. There's a new letter inside, this one written in blue pencil, the words drifting off the edge of the page as if the writer was falling asleep. If you go, take the key. Don't let him see you. The office is under the chapel. Goodbye. The word goodbye is circled 3 times, deep enough to tear the paper. I know where I have to go. Marshall meets me in the church parking lot at dusk, hat pulled low, jacket zipped up to the throat. Charlie is in the back seat of the car, bundled in his old parka, hands shaking even though the heater is blasting. He gives me a nervous wave but doesn't speak. Marshall holds the door, gestures for me to get in. He drives with both hands on the wheel, eyes fixed on the slush-lined road. I know what you saw, he says, voice so flat it could be a radio transmission. I've seen it too. The dreams, the names, the way they line up. I clutch the key, feel it dig into my skin. He glances at me. You okay? I nod, but I don't think I've been okay for weeks. He clears his throat. We're breaking into the camp tonight. You don't have to come in, but you have the key. Charlie leans forward, voice quivering. They said we need a witness. I don't know who they is, but I believe him. Mill Ridge is on the edge of town, a mile of dead grass and scrub trees behind a chain-link fence. The camp is deserted, windows boarded up, the sign half charred from the fire 2 summers ago. We crawl through a gap in the fence, the sky purple-black with evening, our breaths puffing in little clouds. Marshall leads the way, flashlight tight in his hand. We pass the cabins first, doors caved in, mattresses rotted to skeletons. Then the mess hall, graffiti on the walls, the floor littered with dead mice and plastic utensils. We reach the chapel. It's just a prefab trailer with a cross nailed to the door, the windows so dirty you can't see through. The door is locked, but the key in my pocket fits. I turn it, and the lock gives way with a wet pop. Inside, rows of folding chairs, a plywood lectern, the smell of mildew and something sweet, like rotting fruit. At the back, a closet door. Another lock, this one with a hasp. I try the key again. It works. The closet is dark, lined with cardboard boxes. Marshall pushes past me, rummages through until he finds a crate stamped Postmaster Private. He sets it on the floor, kneels to open it. Inside, hundreds of letters, bundled with rubber bands, some so old the paper flakes to dust at the touch. On top, a stack of Polaroids, kids in camp shirts holding up crafts, their names scrawled on tape at the bottom. I recognize some. A boy with curly hair, a girl with a chipped front tooth. Charlie fumbles through the box, hands jittery. He pulls out a letter addressed to Lane S. Opens it, reads, "We had to leave because of the bad man, but he still watches the fence at night. Tell Mom I'm okay. Don't forget my cat." He looks up at me, eyes wide. "They never got these. Nobody ever sent them." Marshall scans the room, restless. "There has to be more," he mutters. He lifts the crate, and a false bottom falls open. Something clatters onto the floor. A badge. Police, real metal, not the plastic kind from parades. The name on the back is scratched out, but underneath I can just make out the letters Macklin, R. Charlie picks it up with shaking hands. "He was here. He took them himself." I feel cold all over. Not scared, just empty. The pieces fit too well. Marshall stands, pockets the badge. "We need to get out of here. Now." The trip back is a blur. My head aches. My hands won't stop shaking. At the church lot, Marshall tells us to stay in the car, then goes to the payphone by the grocery. I hear his voice, low and angry. "I have proof. He's dirty. Yes, I'm sure. I have the badge." "No, I'm not coming in, not with him there. I want protection for the kids. All of them." He slams the phone down, stands for a minute with his back to us. When he gets in the car, he's pale. "We go to the station tomorrow," he says. "I'll turn it all in. They'll have to listen." Charlie's teeth chatter, but he grins. "We did it," he whispers. "I want to believe him. But when we get to my house, the lights are off." The door is ajar. Mom's car is gone. There's a letter on the step. "Don't trust the grown-ups, don't let them take you in. Tell Marshall he's next." The ink runs, the words slanting off the edge. At the bottom, a scrap of blue ribbon. I look up at Marshall, and for the first time he looks scared. "We can't stay here," he says. He's right. We hide out at Charlie's place in the basement, the windows painted black with old nail polish and newspaper. I barely sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see the lost kids, lining up outside the chapel, hands pressed to the glass. I hold the badge, cold and heavy, and think about all the times I saw Officer Macklin at school, at the store, waving and smiling, handing out lollipops. He's still out there, still watching. In the morning, there's another letter in the mailbox. No stamp, no name, just Sarah in red crayon. I open it with a kitchen knife. "If you tell, he'll make you disappear, too." The paper is torn from a notepad I recognize, the kind from the police station front desk. At the bottom, a thumbprint, dark and greasy. Marshall picks it up with a tissue, slips it into his coat. "They're running scared," he says. "This is our chance." I wonder if it's true. I wonder if we have a chance at all. But I keep the letters, all of them, and wait for the night. Because I know it's not over. Not until I say so. The police station smells like dust and menthol. Marshall ushers me through the side door, past the stares of desk sergeants and the whine of a faulty overhead light. The badge is in an evidence bag, along with the latest letter and the blue ribbon. He keeps them tucked under his arm, like a football he's determined not to fumble. The receptionist, new, young, too eager, offers us coffee. Marshall declines. I take a cup out of spite and let the heat burn my tongue. Macklin is waiting for us in the conference room. He stands when we enter, smoothing the front of his uniform, but doesn't offer a handshake. His face is blank, polite, a man who's memorized every page of the training manual. "Detective," he says, then nods at me. "Sarah." He pronounces it like a secret. Marshall sits first. "We have new evidence," he says, and sets the badge on the table. Macklin doesn't flinch. He just lifts the bag, turns it over in his hands. "Where'd you find it?" "Old Ridge Camp, chapel office, hidden with a box of mail." Macklin smiles, slow and sad. "That place is a dump. Squatters break in every week. Could have been anyone." "There's more," Marshall says. He slides over the ribbon and the stack of letters. Macklin reads the top letter, lips barely moving. "This is—" He waves a finger in the air, searching for the word. "Childish." These are the scribblings of scared kids. Nothing here connects me to any crime. He sits back, folding his arms. You dragging Lane into this is irresponsible, Ray. She's been through enough. The way he says my name, the way he looks at me, like I'm already a case file, makes my chest clench. Marshall leans in. You've been first on scene at every disappearance for 25 years. You signed every evidence log. You lived next door to 2 of the victims. Macklin smiles wider. Small town. Everyone's neighbors. The room goes silent. Outside, a phone rings. Someone shouts. A printer grinds out another sheet. In the bubble of the conference room, it's just the 3 of us, waiting for someone to make a move. Then the receptionist pokes her head in. Detective? There's, something for Miss Lane. She hands me a manila envelope, thick as a paperback, my name and the station address scrawled in Sharpie. There's no stamp. I open it. Inside, a single sheet of construction paper, a crayon drawing. Macklin, unmistakable in his uniform and badge, standing over a stick figure child with X's for eyes. Behind him, a row of crying faces, all blue and shaky. At the bottom, a thumbprint, smeared red. I slide the picture across the table. Macklin stares at it, then at me, then at Marshall. He shrugs. Anyone could have drawn that. But his eyes are hard now, no more of the neighborly smile. The air feels thick, sharp. Afterwards, Marshall tells me to stay at the station. Safer here, he says. I need to finish the report, and I want you where I can see you. But the walls pulse with every footstep. I pace the lobby, watch cops move in and out. Macklin's gone. Called to a scene, says the receptionist, but she won't say where. Charlie calls from a payphone, his voice a needle in my ear. They found another one. Girl from the middle school, gone from her bus stop. It's starting again. I feel my stomach drop, everything I've eaten boiling up. When? 10 minutes ago. The world tunnels down. I run out the front, ignoring the shouts behind me, the snow squealing under my sneakers. The air is sharp, the sky thick with bruise-colored clouds. I know where to go. The old bridge over Mill Creek is cordoned off with yellow tape, but nobody's guarding it. I duck under, footsteps loud on the planks. The water below is black and frantic. At the far end, Macklin stands with his back to me, hands in pockets, staring down at the water. He hears me approach, but doesn't turn. It's always the same, he says. Kids go missing, parents cry, then the world forgets. Next year, new faces, new stories. I stop a dozen feet behind him. Why do you do it? He laughs, small. Some kids are born wrong. Some towns, too. You can't fix them, so you prune. Clean up the record. Make things neat. He turns, finally, and his face is raw and empty, all the kindness burned off. I didn't write the letters, he says. I never had to. Kids like you write them for me. He takes a step closer, then another. My breath snags. I can't move. But then there's a flash. A camera, maybe, or the cold glare of headlights. And Marshall is there, at the edge of the bridge, gun drawn but low. Macklin, step away from her. Macklin sighs. She's already gone, Ray. Just like the others. He lunges. I flinch, duck, my hands coming up, and the badge, still in my pocket, catches the light as it arcs out and hits him in the chest. He hesitates, just for a second, and that's enough for Marshall to close the distance. The 2 of them collide, heavy and ugly, but Macklin is old and tired, and Marshall has something left to lose. He cuffs him, face white with rage. It's over, Roy. But I know it's not. Not really. The next morning, the town is awake before the sun. News vans, flashing lights, reporters everywhere. They talk to Marshall, to the mayor, to the crying parents. Nobody talks to me, but the girl from the middle school is found, alive. She doesn't remember what happened, just a blank stretch of time and the smell of bleach. Marshall walks me home, the snow new and perfect. He doesn't say much, just keeps a hand on my shoulder. At my door, he stops. You're the bravest kid I ever met, he says. I nod, not trusting my voice. Inside, Mom is waiting. She hugs me so hard I can't breathe. She smells like soap and coffee and the cigarettes she swore she quit. We sit on the couch. The shoebox is still under my bed, still full of old letters and tokens and pieces of kids who wanted to be found. I take it out, set it on my lap. "Are you okay?" Mom asks. I think about it. About the water and the bridge and the cold grip of Macklin's hand. "Yeah," I say. "I think I am." At night I hear the voices again, but they're quieter now, less urgent. Just kids wanting to be heard, to be remembered. I promise I won't forget them, and I never do. It starts with the cold, not the polite chill that hitches a ride on an October wind, but the kind that seeps into your gums, gnaws at the meat inside your joints. I dream I'm standing in front of the old post office, feet welded to the concrete by frost, the windows blinking with the memory of 100 dead letters. Inside, a child is waiting, skinless, nameless, curled in a nest of yellowed envelopes. It opens its mouth and my name comes out, the sound paper-cut thin, slicing straight to my core. When I wake, my breath clouds the air above my bed, every inch of skin sticky with sweat and gooseflesh. Mom is asleep on the couch, TV murmuring reruns, her hand clutching a stained mug like it's the only anchor left. I leave her there, careful, and pull on the first clothes I find. My boots still caked with old snow, my dad's jacket, patched elbows, and a faint smell of cigarettes. In the pocket, the key. I run my thumb over it, the tag cold against my palm. Ridge Camp Post. Marshall and Charlie are waiting outside, like they've been summoned by the same bad dream. Marshall's car idles in the gutter, breath puffing from the tailpipe, headlights nuzzling the post office's brick face. "You sure about this?" Marshall says, not looking at me, but at the blacked-out windows. I nod. "I'm not sure about anything, but there's no way out except through." Charlie's got his notebook, plus a crowbar in one hand, as if secrets and nails can be pried loose the same way. "I brought gloves," he says, thrusting a pair at me. I take them, fingers trembling, and lead the way up the steps. Inside, the dark is absolute. Marshall's flashlight throws a spotlight onto dust motes, each one dancing in the stale air like it's got somewhere to be. The lobby is a museum of old government furniture, battered counter, tipped-over "Wait Here" sign, a display case half filled with mouse nests, and the ghosts of commemorative stamps. The peeling blue of the walls looks radioactive. "I know where we're going," I say, though I'm not sure until I feel the tug in my chest, the way the air seems to resist every step forward. We pass the sorting room, the old safe, the row of pigeonhole mail slots still tagged with names of people who've either moved on or died out. In the back hall, the floor sags. My boots sink into a dip between two broken tiles and I almost lose my balance. "Careful," says Marshall. "Building's probably not to code anymore." I crouch, press my palms to the grime. The floor's colder here, like something beneath it is draining all the heat from the world. I knock gently. The hollow thunk is unmistakable. "This is it," I say. Charlie kneels beside me, crowbar ready. He jams it between two boards and levers up. The wood cracks, splinters, then gives. Underneath is blackness and the stink of mold. Marshall shines the light down. It disappears into the dark like a swallowed secret. I climb down first, dropping into the cold. The space is barely big enough to stand, lined on all sides by crumbling stone and old mortar. In the glow of the flashlight, the walls look alive, every inch papered over with letters, envelopes, postcards, scraps of notebook paper. Some are pinned with rusted tacks, others glued on with what looks like dried spit or blood. Charlie lands next, knees wobbling. "Jesus," he says, voice barely there. "It's like a mausoleum." Marshall lowers himself, flashlight held out like a cross to ward off whatever's waiting. The beam roves over the letters, some addressed, some anonymous, all in the ragged scrawl of children. I reach out, pull a random letter off the wall. The paper is soft with age, edges curled and brittle. It smells like sour milk and attic dust. I open it. If you find this, please tell Mom I didn't mean to make her cry. The man who takes us says it's for the best. He wears a blue coat and tells us stories. He says if we're good, we get to go home. I want to go home. There's a drawing at the bottom, a stick figure child and a taller figure, both standing next to a car. The child's face is a single round O, a permanent scream. Charlie flips through a stack of envelopes, each one heavier than the last. Some have hair ties or bits of plastic toy taped to the paper. One is sealed with a fingerprint, smeared in brown. They never mailed these, he says. They were just kept here. I move down the wall, my hands shaking so hard the paper crinkles. Every letter is a plea, a confession, a goodbye. Marshall reads one aloud. His voice cracks halfway through. We're at the church now. He says to wait and be quiet. The room is small. He gave us cookies and said our parents would be proud. I'm scared. I miss my cat. I can't stop reading. I feel every word burn a new scar inside me. It's like the walls are breathing, the air thick with all the things nobody ever wanted to say out loud. At the far end, there's a pile of unopened letters, some wrapped in twine. My name is on the top envelope. I pick it up, feeling the static charge run up my arm. I open it. Dear Sarah, you're the only one who listened. You always do. I'm sorry I didn't stay longer. It wasn't your fault. The man in blue knows all the secrets. If you tell the truth, you can save the rest. Don't let him take you to the water. At the bottom, a signature. Sadie. My vision blurs. The edges of the room seem to close in, the letters squirming on the wall like maggots. The ladder creaks. Marshall's face turns ashen. He's here, he says. Officer Macklin drops into the chamber with a grunt, boots hitting the dirt with a thud. He's in full uniform, badge gleaming. His eyes scan the room, settling first on Marshall, then on me. He tries a smile, but it's brittle. Well, looks like you've been busy. His hand hovers near his holster, but he doesn't draw. Just stands, the weight of the room pressing him from all sides. Marshall squares his shoulders, keeping himself between Macklin and us. We found your trophies, he says. Macklin's face doesn't change, but something in his shoulders slumps. He laughs, short and ugly. You think this matters? Those kids, nobody cared about them before. Nobody even remembers their names. Charlie steps forward, voice shaking but clear. You made them disappear. Macklin shrugs. I kept the peace. You know how easy it is for a kid to vanish in this town? Half the parents don't want them back. The rest? He gestures at the wall. They just want someone to blame. I hold up the letter, my hands steady for the first time all day. You told them it was okay. You made them trust you. He looks at me, really looks, and for a second I see something like regret flicker in his eyes. I never hurt them, he says, almost pleading. Not really. I just sent them where they wouldn't be a problem. Marshall's voice is cold. That's not for you to decide. Macklin laughs again, the sound echoing off the papered walls. It's always up to someone. That's what nobody tells you. I read the letter aloud. The words stick in my throat, but I force them out. If you tell the truth, you can save the rest. Don't let him take you to the water. Macklin flinches like I slapped him. You think you're different? He snarls. You think any of this will change the town? He staggers backward, hand still hovering over his belt. But it's empty bravado now. The walls are closing in. The ghosts are watching. Marshall cuffs him without a struggle. Macklin sags, the fight draining out of him. Tears run down his cheeks, carving tracks through the grime. He says one last thing, voice raw. I just wanted to matter. That's all anyone wants. Marshall drags him up the ladder. Charlie and I follow, the letter still clutched in my hand. Outside, the air is sharp and clean. The sun's barely up, but already the day feels brighter, the shadows shorter. We walk away from the post office, the stink of mold and sorrow left behind. I look at Marshall, then at Charlie, and for the first time in a long while, I think maybe it's possible to breathe again. But I don't let go of the letter. Not yet. The courthouse sits on a slab of old limestone, the kind that sweats when the weather turns. This morning the stone is bone dry and blinding, white enough to make me squint even before the flashbulbs start. By the time we get to the steps, there's already a crowd. Journalists with frayed notepads, mothers with strollers. Half the town pressed in like it's parade day, but no one's smiling. Macklin shuffles between two deputies, wrists locked in silver cuffs. His uniform is gone, replaced with an ugly green windbreaker, and his hair looks like he tried to slick it down with spit. The press snaps picture after picture, the clicks and pops stuttering over the low hum of voices. Someone calls his name. He flinches but doesn't look up. We hang back on the edge of the crowd. Charlie stands close enough I can feel him vibrating, fingers white-knuckled around his camera. Marshall is beside us, face blank, eyes never leaving Macklin. He's wearing a suit for the first time in months. It looks like it hurts. The deputies guide Macklin up the steps. The crowd parts, but no one gives him space. A reporter thrusts a mic forward, almost jabbing him in the chin. "Roy, did you do it? Is it true what they're saying?" Macklin keeps his eyes on the stairs, jaw set. He mutters something under his breath, maybe a prayer or just a string of words to hold the world together. At the top, the deputies pause. They turn him toward the crowd, not for show, but so the photographers can get the money shot. Macklin sways a little. His hands tremble, knuckles blanched against the metal. A lone siren rises in the distance, slow and mournful, as if even the emergency services can't work up the energy for something this sad. On the curb, a navy blue cruiser idles, driver's door open, engine rumbling like a beast in a cage. The deputies walk Macklin down the stairs again, each step deliberate, the crowd's eyes eating up every motion. When they reach the car, Macklin hesitates. His face is gray, lips chewed raw. One of the deputies nudges him. He stumbles forward, his coat flapping against the fender before they muscle him into the back seat. The door slams, sealing him away. The siren flickers to life, a quick yowl before the cruiser pulls into traffic and disappears down Elm. The crowd stands in silence for a long moment, the afterimage of Macklin's face burned onto the courthouse steps. Then the whispers start. Not angry, not even satisfied. Just hollow like the echo in an empty well. Marshall watches until the cruiser rounds the corner. Only then does he let himself breathe. Charlie turns to me. "It's over," he says, voice thin as paper. But it isn't. Not really. Not yet. The town square has always been a kind of open wound. In summer, it's sunburned kids and sticky lemonade, church picnics under the only tree big enough to matter. In winter, it's a wind tunnel, the brick pavers slick with ice and old spit. Today, the air is somewhere in between, a sharp spring gust twisting the flags and making the old men at the hardware store clutch their coffee cups closer. There's a knot of people at the notice board, all ages, all types, some in Sunday coats, some in pajamas under their parkas. Even the teenagers, who usually spit and cuss from the picnic tables, are huddled close, faces serious. The board itself is a relic, splinters under a thick gloss of thumbtacks, corners curled from a century of lost pets, pancake breakfasts, and free kittens to good home. Today, everything else has been buried under a single sheet of fresh white paper, taped dead center. Charlie stands near the edge, arms wrapped tight around himself. He doesn't see me, too busy trying to read through the shoulders of 3 moms from his block. I hang back, watching the way people shift and lean, the way they treat the notice board like it might bite. The page flaps in the wind, black letters bold enough to see from a block away. Statement from the office of the sheriff. It is with deep regret that we inform the citizens of Mill Ridge that former Officer Roy Macklin has confessed to involvement in the disappearance and unlawful detainment of multiple minors over the past 25 years. A full investigation is underway. We urge residents to direct any inquiries to the sheriff's office and refrain from speculation or retribution. For the safety and privacy of the victims and their families, further details will be provided as appropriate. Thank you for your understanding. It's signed with 3 names, none of which mean anything to me. A man with a beard and a best dad ever sweatshirt reads the statement 3 times, lips moving with each pass. Beside him, a woman with hair the color of mayonnaise covers her mouth, eyes wide. "He was at my daughter's birthday last month," she whispers, voice hoarse. "He gave her a fucking hula hoop." People start talking over each other, half whispers, half shouts, no one quite willing to be the first to say what they're all thinking. "He was always so nice. I never liked the way he looked at my boy." "They're making it up. It's a setup." "It's true. My cousin said there was proof." The crowd gets tighter, everyone leaning in as if proximity to the notice board might give them answers. Someone, an old woman with veins like river maps, lifts a trembling hand and smooths the paper just for a second. She leaves a smudge of dirt at the corner. "How could he?" she says, not to anyone in particular. The question floats up and hovers, sticky and impossible. Others repeat it, a ripple of disbelief. "How could he? How? No, not Roy." It's like watching a time-lapse of grief, denial, anger, bargaining, all packed into 30 seconds on a breezy Tuesday. A little kid in a red coat stares at the board, then at his mom, then back again. "Is the bad man going to jail?" he asks. His mom squats, hugs him close. "Yes, baby." "He's never coming back?" She doesn't sound like she believes it. I catch a glimpse of myself in the reflection of the hardware store window, ghostly and doubled. For a second, I look like every other kid in town, smaller than I feel, softer than I want to be. The wind tugs the page loose at one corner. The woman with the mapped-out veins presses it back, the tape crinkling under her thumb. Behind me, someone says, "I always knew something was off." But his voice shakes, and he doesn't sound convinced. The crowd doesn't break up, not for a long time. People just keep staring, like maybe if they stand here long enough the notice board will spit out a different story. But the words stay the same, black and final. I don't remember walking home. When I get there, the house is quiet, the lights off. Mom is gone, maybe to work, or maybe just to drive until the world stops making her hurt. I sit at the kitchen table, letter in hand, and wait for the rest of the day to catch up with me. "How could he?" It echoes, softer each time, until the question is just another piece of air. The Gazette's back room is a fire hazard, old desks crammed shoulder to shoulder, stacks of yellowing newspapers threatening to avalanche, the air thick with toner, sweat, and the tang of burned microwave popcorn. Fluorescent tubes buzz overhead, flickering just enough to make you think you're one blink away from seizure. Every chair is taken, every surface covered in paper or someone's elbow. The whole place feels like it's vibrating, alive with the pulse of breaking news. A reporter with a tattooed neck waves me over, then shoves a recorder in my face before I even sit. He's flanked by 2 more, one typing on a battered laptop, the other scrawling shorthand on a notepad with a chewed-up pencil. "Lane," says the tattooed one, "give me a quick one. How does it feel bringing down a cop?" I stare at him, lips numb. "It wasn't about the cop," I say. "It was about the kids." He grins, exposing a missing molar, then moves on without missing a beat. "What's next for Sarah Lane? Witness protection? Book deal?" I shake my head, watching the parade of people cycling through the far side of the room. It's an endless loop. A mom in a Target hoodie, a man with carpenter's hands, a teenager in a band tee that says, "Feed the grave." Each sits in the chair by the window, takes a minute to tell their story to the hungry reporter, then shuffles out, replaced by the next. At the center of it all is a battered card table, and on it my letters. Every one I ever got, plus a bunch I never saw. Brought in by parents, neighbors, the mailman who'd found a dozen tucked in cracks at the old post office. Some are sealed tight, others torn open with trembling hands. One is still stained with what looks like strawberry jam. The city editor, a woman with white hair and 3 pairs of glasses on her head, is in charge of the evidence. She's got rubber gloves and a magnifying glass, and she's taping up fragments of handwriting to a sheet of foam board already covered in bits of colored ink and cryptic messages. When I walk by, she looks up and fixes me with a stare that could curdle milk. "You're the real deal, Lane," she says. "You ever want a summer job, you let me know." I wonder if I'll ever want any kind of job, but I nod anyway. Next to the board, a junior reporter interviews Charlie. He's got a can of soda and a spiral notebook, and he's talking so fast the reporter can barely keep up. It's like there were patterns, right? But also not. I don't think it was just one person doing the writing, but someone had to organize it, like a ringmaster. Like, what's the word? Curation. He gestures with both hands, almost sending the soda flying. It wasn't random, is what I'm saying. The reporter looks up. "You ever feel unsafe?" Charlie shrugs. "Only when the grown-ups stopped listening." A policewoman in a sharp blue suit leans over the board, peering at one of the blood-stained letters. "We're going to have to bag all of this," she mutters, more to herself than to anyone else. The tattooed reporter circles back to me, scribbling as he talks. "You got any theories, Lane? On why he did it?" I glance at the foam board, at the jumble of handwriting and voices, each one a small life snapped in half. "Maybe he was lonely," I say. "Or maybe he wanted to be the only one who could fix things." The reporter's pen stops. He looks at me, searching for a punchline, then shrugs when he doesn't find one. Across the room, an old man, someone's grandfather, judging by the suspenders, answers his interview in a shaky voice. "You trust a man for 40 years. You let him into your house. You let him teach your kids to ride a bike, and then—" He trails off, tears streaming down his face. No sound, but the fluorescent hum. The city editor posts a printout of Macklin's confession on the wall above the evidence. People take turns reading it, lips pressed tight. Some look relieved, like the monster finally has a name. Others just look hollowed out, as if catching the bad guy didn't fix the hole he left behind. When it's my turn at the chair, the junior reporter sits across from me, hands folded, face softer than the others. "Last question, Sarah," she says. "What do you want people to know?" I think about it. About the letters and the dreams, about the way voices get lost in the noise until someone decides to really listen. I take a breath. "That nobody's invisible," I say. She nods, scribbles it down, and for a second the world feels like it's moving in the right direction. But even as the room fills with the sound of typing and phone calls, I know there are more stories on that board. More names, more unanswered letters. The reporters will move on to the next tragedy, the next scandal, but the ghosts will keep writing, one envelope at a time. It's never over. Not really. At night, the antique shop creaks like a ship at sea. My room is just above the storeroom. Mom's idea, for safety. So when I wake up from a nightmare, it feels like I'm floating over an ocean of dead clocks and chipped porcelain. I jolt upright, sheets strangling my legs, heart clawing at my ribs. For a long, airless second, I can't tell if I'm still dreaming. The walls pulse with shadows, the corners of the room flickering as the candle on my dresser gutters in a draft. I smell old wax, the tang of burnt wick, and underneath that, the cold metallic sweat that always comes after one of the bad dreams. Tonight's was worse than usual. In it, I was running down a hallway lined with mailboxes, but every box was stuffed with pale, silent hands, reaching out and grabbing at my clothes, my hair, my skin. They didn't say anything, didn't even scream. They just squeezed tighter and tighter until I woke up gasping. I sit there, hunched and shaking, waiting for the dream to drain out of my bones. I turn on the lamp. Its yellow halo pushes the ghosts back into the corners. I can still feel them, though, their tiny fingerprints pressed into my shoulders and neck. The shop is quiet. No footsteps from Mom, no hum from the soda machine in the hall. Just me, the candle, and the letter I keep under my pillow. I take it out, unfold the crease, run my thumb over the words. The handwriting is different than mine, messier, loopier, but it's addressed to me all the same. Dear Sarah, thank you for not forgetting us. Please don't let the letters stop. We are still here goodbye. For now I read it 3 times, each time softer. The paper is warm from my hand, and the fear slowly recedes, replaced by a prickly sadness that isn't entirely mine. I blow out the candle. The darkness isn't so scary now. The ghosts know I'm here, and I know them. Maybe I always will. I lie back down, the letter pressed to my chest, and for the first time in a long while, I sleep without dreams. The morning is cold but clear, the kind of chill that leaves your ears buzzing for hours. The memorial sits at the far edge of Mill Ridge, a strip of soft ground tucked beneath a crown of oak trees. There's nothing fancy, just 10 rough-hewn crosses hammered into the dirt, each one no higher than my knee, each one marked with a strip of blue or red ribbon. Marshall is already here, hands in his coat pockets, eyes on the ground. His breath clouds in front of him, drifting sideways in the breeze. He doesn't move when I walk up, just dips his head a little as if to say, I see you, but words aren't needed. I step past the tree line, pine needles soft underfoot, and join him. We stand in silence for a while, watching the sunlight move across the wood. The ribbons flap in the wind, little bursts of color against the brown. After a while, Marshall clears his throat. They said it should be private, he says, voice rough. No speeches, no press. I nod. That's good. He looks at me, lines deeper around his eyes. You all right? I shrug. Getting there? He seems to accept that, or maybe he's just out of things to say. I take the envelope from my pocket, the last one. It's blank except for the faint watermark of my own name, but nobody has circled it. Nobody has written next or please or sorry. Just my name, soft as breath. I kneel by the nearest cross, the one with a yellow ribbon. I strike a match from the pack in my other pocket and set the envelope on fire. The paper crumples, blisters, curls in on itself before drifting to ash. Marshall watches, then sighs. Circle's closed, huh? I nod. For now. He pulls a battered folder from his coat, the case file thick with years of secrets. He holds it for a moment, then tucks it inside his jacket. Going to keep this? I ask. He gives a small smile. Somebody has to remember. In case the letters start up again. We stand together a bit longer, saying nothing, just listening to the wind push through the leaves and the creek down the hill. The crosses cast long, sharp shadows that point back toward town, but for once, it doesn't feel like they're chasing anything. On the walk back, Marshall puts a hand on my shoulder, heavy, steady. You ever want to talk? He says. You know where to find me. I do. We head home, the smoke from the burned letter trailing behind us, thin and straight, rising into the bright blue sky until it vanishes.